Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the T.H.O. Movie Reviews Podcast, the show where we bring you passionate, honest, and insightful film criticism. I'm your host, Bennett Campbell Ferguson, and I'm here today to talk about Wonder Woman, which I just saw and liked very, very much. And yes, for those of you who are wondering, I am going to do a review with the full group very, very soon, but I liked the movie so much that I decided I just had to talk about it right away. So for those of you who don't know, Wonder Woman is the fourth installment in the current cycle of DC Comics-based movies, which also included Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad, all of which, if you have been following my work on THO, you know I thought were awful. But Wonder Woman isn't attached to all of that. It's its own separate story, and it explores Wonder Woman's origins. It shows her as a young girl on the island of Themyscira, where she lives among her fellow Amazons, and it shows her training and yearning for excitement and adventure. But one day, all of that changes when the horror of World War I breaches the protective energy that surrounds the Themyscira. A spy for the Allies, played by Chris Pine, shows up pursued by the Germans, and he tells Wonder Woman, aka Diana, of what's happening in man's world, and she decides that it's her duty to step off Themyscira, even though she can never return, and aid mankind in their struggle and try to end the war. And when I say mankind, she literally is fighting on behalf of all of mankind, because Diana believes that the war is not really the work of humans. She thinks people are being influenced by Ares, the god of war, and she thinks that that by stopping Ares, she will stop the war and, in her own words, allow people to be good again. And Chris Pine's character, Steve Trevor, responds to that by saying, no, 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 no. He tells her, you think too highly of people, sometimes people are just bad, but Diana believes the best of humanity, and that's what drives her. That's what fuels her and keeps her going. And she is naive to a certain extent, but she's also a truly inspiring figure who has a way of seeing the beauty in people and in the world. So the film, deals with her coming into our world, and not just with her experiencing the horror of war, but with by showing her comment on things in society that we take for granted. Like, there's a scene where she gets excited and sees a baby, and she really overflows with warmth and love in that scene, because she hasn't, seen any babies growing up on Themyscira. And there's another scene a wonderful scene where she gets an ice cream cone and, says, "Oh, it's wonderful," and then turns to the ice cream vendor and says, "You should be very proud." And it's a wonderful, witty moment, but it's a powerful moment because she, she's coming in to our world, and she's not jaded. She sees the wonder of the things that we see every day, and by seeing the world through her eyes, it's almost like it refreshes you. It gives you a deeper appreciation of the world, and it's a really good and inspiring feeling, and it separates her from other superheroes, and it makes her unique. I think there's talk that she's a fish out of water character, kind of like Thor, but she's also a period piece hero like Captain America, and I don't really see her as either of those, because I think Captain America has a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove, and Thor is really kind of a spoiled rich boy to a certain extent. And Diana, I think, is very refreshing because she's none of those things. She's very, very, pure of heart, and it's really exciting to see a character like that in a big, grand, entertaining adventure movie. And this is a big, grand, entertaining adventure movie. I will admit that I wasn't a fan of all of the action sequences because there's a trend in action movies that's been going on for a long time, and that I suspect is influenced by music videos, to cut very, very fast to the point, where it can sometimes be hard to see what's going on, and you sometimes miss the actual choreography of fights. And this is a flaw you see in Wonder Woman. You see sword fights where you can't really tell what's going on and which way characters are darting and swinging, and it makes me miss the Errol Flynn version of Robin Hood, where each thrust, each parry, each clash of the swords, you really could see what was happening very clearly, and it made it that much more exciting. And Wonder Woman is a very much a product of its time. It doesn't have that, but it does have some truly rousing, moving battle scenes. There's a terrific scene I love where Diana, comes out of the trenches and runs across the no man's land, deflecting bullets with her shield and her gauntlets, and the scene amps up even more when Hans Zimmer's electric guitar Wonder Woman riff that goes blares as the action heats up even more, and then the scene ends with her standing atop a tower and looking down at the people she saved, and it's incredibly, beautiful moment, seeing her up there, and realizing that she's, how her actions have helped people, have made their lives better, have saved their lives, and that's an incredibly powerful thing, and it's a great image. Her standing up there, and this is an incredibly visually beautiful film in general. The scenes on Themyscira at the beginning are absolutely gorgeous, from the green of the grass to the cool blue water that surrounds the island. It's a very glorious utopian colorful vision, and I'm sure those of you who have seen the other recent DC films, Man of Steel and its ilk, have noticed the very dark, grimy palette. And, you don't get that in the Themyscira scenes. You do get that in the World War I fight scenes, which are very dark and gray and dirty. But, that's necessary, and I think it's important to have the utopianism of Themyscira contrasted with the darkness and suffering of the human world that Diana enters. You need to have that to for her character arc, because she's coming from essentially a perfect world and into an imperfect world, and that is so much of what the journey of the film is about. And it's beautifully photographed by Matthew Jensen, who executes that transition very, very poetically. He did wonderful, wonderful work on Chronicle, not so wonderful work on Josh Trank's Fantastic Four, but he absolutely is at the top of his game here, as are most of the people working on the movie. And I say most because this is by no means a perfect film. There are moments where the exposition is clunky and the energy lags, and also Steve Trevor has a lot of sidekicks, and there are times when I felt that the sidekicks kind of detracted from Wonder Woman herself. There's a part of the movie in the middle where she isn't really front and center, and I found that a little bit frustrating. But luckily, everything snaps into place just beautifully in the climax, which is an incredibly moving and exciting and tragic, but still rousing sequence, which is it really puts Diana in the spotlight, and not only gives her a great nemesis to battle against, but gives her an ethical choice to make. And I really believe that a superhero is nothing without a great ethical choice that tests them intellectually and emotionally. I think the second greatest superhero film of all time, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, I think that's a great film because it's about Peter Parker deciding whether or not he wants to be Spider-Man because the burden of his responsibility is weighing on him. And in Wonder Woman, you get a similar kind of thing with Diana. Not that she has to decide whether or not to be Wonder Woman, because that's never a question. She's not riddled by angst and self-doubt. She is passionate and determined and seemingly incorruptible. But she encounters a lot of war and a lot of devastation, and she sees humanity at its worst, and she's horrified and humbled by that. And in the end, she has to decide: is it worth it? Is it worth it to fight for humanity? Does it matter? Is her optimism that people can be good, can be the best they can possibly be? Is her optimism is it based on reality, or is it just a fantasy? She has to wrestle with that. She has to make a choice, and it's thrilling to watch her make that choice. And I should add that part of the reason it's thrilling is because of Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman, and I think is pretty, no pun intended, wonderful in the part. I think I think she brings a real sweetness and compassion to Wonder Woman that I find very, very moving. And that's something that Patty Jenkins, the director, really shares. She did a great interview in the New York Times where she said she thinks that sincerity in movies is undervalued, and that's something I certainly think that's a perspective I think comes out in this movie, because this is a very sincere romantic movie. Not in the sense that there's a lot of romance, because there's not. There's just a touch of romance, just the right amount. But it's romantic in style and outlook. It's unabashedly sentimental and optimistic, and there's something really beautiful about that. It's a great contrast to the snarky cynicism of Deadpool. A sense of cynicism that you can also find in a lot of the Marvel films, like Iron Man and Thor and the Avengers, which those movies are very, very postmodern. There's a lot of self-aware jokes about superheroism that I find really just grating and tiresome and self-satisfied. And to be honest, I cannot stand most of the films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think everything about the way those films are made, I think they exemplify everything that's wrong with the Hollywood studio system. The emphasis on basically turning movies into commercials for other movies, and that's not what Wonder Woman is. Wonder Woman is a movie, to quote A.O. Scott. It is a single self-contained story in which lives are at stake, in which you care about the outcome of the battle being waged, in which you root for the heroine because she's embattled, because you feel that she could fail, because she struggles. You get caught up in it. And that is, I think, an exciting thing. And it's one of the reasons why, despite its flaws, I think Wonder Woman is the second best comic book film of the decade after The Dark Knight Rises. For so many reasons I've mentioned, because of Patty Jenkins, because of Gal Gadot, because of the beautiful imagery, but most of all because of the story. You know, we talk a lot, I think, in movies about how you can make anything look good, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think to make a great movie, you need a great idea. You need, a great idea that fuels all the action. And, Wonder Woman has a great idea. It's that idea that Diana's optimism, Diana's faith in humanity is being tested. And she has to decide if, it's worth it to adhere to that faith. So there's a question, is she right to believe in people? A question that has to be answered, that fuels everything. And obviously, I don't want to tell you all what the answer to that question is. I think you should go and experience it for yourself, and be wrapped up in the woman. Be be wrapped up in the woman, yes, but be wrapped up in the movie, and relish it, and enjoy it, and not hear it from my lips. But to sum it all up, Wonder Woman, it's not perfect. It has its narrative hiccups. There are parts of the movie that could be tightened, but it's a beautiful, hopeful, thrilling movie. And before I sign off, I just want to talk about the significance of the fact that this is the first major Hollywood film about a woman who is a superhero, where she's in the spotlight, and that is an exciting thing to witness. And I'm sure you've all seen the scene in the trailer where Etta Candy, Steve Trevor's secretary, says, "Oh, I'm his secretary. I go where he tells me to go. I do what he tells me to do." And Diana says, "Where I'm come from, that's called slavery." And that was a really funny joke in the trailer. But once you see the movie, I think you'll find that it nods to something very, very serious. It's a thread throughout the film, which is that even though Diana is in the midst of a classic battle of good versus evil, she really does bring as a woman, she brings a perspective to that kind of story that's very different from the perspective of a Peter Parker or a Tony Stark or a Logan or a Steve Rogers. She brings something else to that journey, and that unique spark is why I think this is a must see movie. And gosh, I keep going on and on because I love it so much. But I have to say one more thing. You know, movie going is not. It's not seen in the same way that theater is seen. That or that dance is seen. Often people go. They're eating, they're tired, they just want to relax for 2 hours. They don't necessarily really engage. I went to see Wonder Woman, and when the movie was over, the entire audience erupted in applause, joyous, joyous applause, and I was very happy to join in, because this is an excellent, excellent movie, and I hope all of you check it out. Well, that's all I have for now. If you like this podcast, please click thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and check out all the great reviews and content we have at THOmoviereviews.wordpress.com. Check back here with a full review that I'll be doing with the rest of the T.H.O gang. And once again, I'm your host, Bennett Campbell Ferguson, and from all of us here at T.H.O Movie Reviews, happy movie watching.